Typically, a game is comprised of its assets, such as its models, its music, and its graphics, as well as important variables and compiled instructions on how to run the game. And in order for the game that you bought to run and work as intended, a console expects this information to be read exactly as it was created. But what if it wasn't? What if we changed assets or instructions? This is essentially the basic concept behind modding and hacking games. There are a wide number of techniques and programs that you can use to hack your games. Something like a basic hex editor is usually enough to crack open a ROM and change up some dialogue or search for certain values. Or you have specialty tools like Game Graphics Studio that allow you to crack open certain games like Dragon Ball Z Budokai and view its internal files and textures. And then you have more advanced programs like Cheat Engine that give you control of the game as it's running in an emulator and lets you change instructions and lock variables in memory on the fly. And modding and hacking can be applied for good purposes. It can be used toward somewhat educational and archival ends. For instance, Budokai 3 and Infinite World don't have easy ways to enable a free camera, as they were exclusive to the PlayStation 2, unlike the previous two titles which were also on the GameCube, which means they benefit from Dolphin Emulator's free camera functionality. However, using Cheat Engine, I was able to map control of the camera zoom to the player's position. So as I move my player away from the center of the arena, I can see more and more of the game's environment. Something that you can never see by playing the game regularly. It really gives a good idea on how game developers optimize these games and reduce models where complexity was not needed. I also used Cheat Engine to unlock and make the Cyberman and Cell Jr. in Budokai 1 fully playable. These two characters are not selectable through the game's character select, but were fully programmed for player control. I actually talked a little bit about this on the Kanzenshu podcast, and I kind of wanted to go into that in a little bit more detail in another video. But then you start to descend into the novelty era of game hacking and modding, like taking Bulma in Dragon Ball Evolution and giving her Goku's moveset. Or editing textures for the starting screen of Budokai 1 to create this godforsaken crime towards humanity. The real chaos starts, however, when you start canceling out opcodes and instructions. Opcodes are short for operation codes and help identify what an instruction is supposed to do. And these are the game's way of telling the console how to run the game properly. Complex operations in games are typically the combination of hundreds of different instructions, oftentimes handling small things like transferring one piece of data to another place, or just as simple as adding two numbers together. When connected to an emulator such as PCS X2, Cheat Engine allows you to view every instruction that is being executed and nullify them if you want. And this often breaks major things in the game. At its most tame, you get mildly interesting stuff like disabling the outlines on characters in Budokai 3 and Infinite World, but then you also get moments where characters just aren't themselves, or just look absolutely cracked because, I don't know, something along the way was supposed to keep them together, and you broke it. Or you get moments where space and time just ceases to function properly, and occasionally characters are spirited to the void and start moving in non-Euclidean coordinates. It's very bad. Now, as fun as all that sounds, a lot of times actually getting something showable or video worthy is a crapshoot. 9 times out of 10, the game would just crash and I'd have to boot everything back up to try messing around again. Overall though, I think hacking and modding is actually a good way to learn exactly how games work. For a lot of people, console games are little magic discs that your PlayStation 2 just automatically understands. And lots of major discoveries and hidden content have been found through hacking. Anyway, hopefully you liked this video. If you want to hear more about Dragon Ball and gaming, feel free to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Okay, bye.